Today we are test driving BMW 530e 2018 model. They just arrived at dealerships. This is a plug-in hybrid. Mechanically it's almost identical to the BMW X5 40e, which is basically a combination of a 4-cylinder turbo engine and an electric motor, all-wheel drive. Combined system output is about 360 horsepower. The size of the battery is also identical to the X5, which is around 9 kilowatt-hour battery, which should provide you up to approximately 30 to 40 kilometers in pure electric range, and with careful driving, probably more like 40 to 50. However, the official estimate is 29 kilometers. And unfortunately, this car that we got today was not charged, so we'll be mostly driving in a hybrid mode in this car. However, it'll give us a feel for how this car is behaving on the road. So right now we have the climate on. It's a very hot day, on a record-breaking hot day in September, first day of fall 2017. And we have been given this car graciously by Georgian BMW in Barrie. They have a couple of these 530Es in stock. They had the wonderful deals on 330Es plug-in hybrids. They sold quite a few X5 plug-in hybrids as well in the past. And they are also equipped with public charging stations where we are charging our BMW i3 as we're test driving this car. So let's take it on the road. So we have it in the drive mode. Basically the car, right now we're kind of driving in pure electric, even with the climate on. Of course the engine will come on as we drive it. Technology in action, there we go. This is the display that's specific to only plug-in hybrids. That's the screen that shows you where the power is coming from. Of course, because the battery is not, high voltage battery is not charged, it's showing the car as using the engine at this moment. If it's running on battery, it will be showing all blue and basically the energy going from the battery to power the wheels. So you can see it shows as soon as you start slowing down, the display. It's a fully digital dash. So these are simulated analog gauges. And when you slow down, it obviously uses the regen to recharge the battery as soon as you let your foot off the accelerator pedal. And you can see it right now going into the charge mode. When we accelerate, obviously it goes the other way. So it's actually the instead of a tachometer, you have it's a power band from 0 to 100%. And including the e-boost. So if we were in the electric mode, the display would actually change. And the display also changes with the different modes that you have. We have Sport, Comfort, and Eco Pro. Because the climate is on, eventually, and the battery is depleted, eventually it'll automatically turn the engine back on. But if it was fully charged, and hopefully next time around when we test drive this car, we will get a unit that's been fully charged for a change. On a hot day like today, it's very hard not to use the climate. Obviously, if you turn off the climate, the electric range will be extended. So here you have the menu is very similar to that in the other BMW cars. The iDrive in the center. So the only difference here is you have the eDrive button, which should allow you normally to drive in pure electric, assuming the battery was fully charged. So the system basically defaults to hybrid driving, unless you press the eDrive, which then basically keeps you in pure electric mode until the battery is depleted, and then it switches automatically back to hybrid mode. So this car obviously can be charged like most of the other plug-in hybrids out of level 1 120 volts or level 2 240 volts. Based on our experience from the X5 plug-in hybrid test drive, this car would take approximately 6 hours to charge on a level 1 or about 2 hours to charge on a level 2 with 240 volts. So obviously you can get, now the subsidy for this car, again, because it's based on the battery size, it's about the same as the X5 40e. So your subsidy is approximately just over $8,000 based on the 9 kWh battery. So this version of the 5 Series after rebate is actually the least expensive 5 Series available in Canada. So it is actually costs less than the regular gasoline powered 530i. So really I don't really see any sense of anyone buying a 530i, which then ends up being more expensive. This is more performance and you save tons on gas. If your commute is short and you have plugs at both ends, both at your home and at your work, you could be driving it for months without having to fill up, just like we did with our previous plug-in hybrid Ford. The range was also similar, between 30 and 40 kilometers, and we managed to drive it for 4 months or 6,000 kilometers on one single tank of gas. So these vehicles are great for people who don't want to go full electric, but want to try what it feels like to drive an electric vehicle, and simply are just not ready to jump into the immersion method and go full electric just yet. So this provides best of both worlds. You have the electric mode, and then for longer trips you have the hybrid mode. So in the interim, while the full electric cars, their range is slowly increasing, I think that these plug-in hybrids, which soon enough will be available in every single model as an option, these will be very popular, perhaps even more so popular than pure electrics for now, until the infrastructure for fast charging catches up and it's available everywhere. If every gas station has a fast charging station for electric cars, and more than one, then this basically will get more people switching over to pure electric cars. So the MSRP on this car is basically around, that's a base, for a base car, it's around 66,000 Canadian. The rebate being around 8,000, this car will end up being approximately, of course, if you end up ordering a base car, which is already pretty fully loaded, but it would end up costing around 58 after rebate. And your fuel savings will depend on how much you drive in pure electric mode and how much you actually drive in hybrid mode. So even in a hybrid mode, obviously it's going to less use gas than the regular 530i, because it still uses, even if the battery is fully depleted, it still uses the electric motor a little bit, some of the time. We can basically turn off the system, which would, now it's perfectly quiet, so we're in pure electric mode, of course, because of the battery being depleted. It doesn't show us any electric range, but normally that's what this car would sound like. You wouldn't hear anything at all when driving in pure electric mode. So as we accelerate, the engine kicks in right away, just because the eDrive mode is not available, and of course you can hear the engine a little bit. So now we're gonna put it in sport. As you can see, the gauge is changed from an electric gauge to a sport gauge, and it's actually turned red, so the display changes with each mode. Right now we're in the sport mode, so both gauges changed, and yeah, obviously the engine has more power, and it likely uses, even with battery depleted, there's a bit of a reserve in the battery to be able to use it as an e-boost for faster acceleration. So it's definitely much faster than a 530i without the electric motor, even with the added weight of the battery. If you look at the performance characteristics of these two cars compared side by side, you'll notice that this car is actually faster. So if you want to test drive it, come and visit Georgian BMW in Barrie. Well, there's also, actually just noticed, there is a head-up display which comes standard with the 530e. They're starting to appear at dealerships, so we've noticed one at Toronto BMW as well. We heard that Bud's BMW in Oakville also had a few, so they're starting to come in. and don't hesitate to drop by your local BMW dealership to test drive it. Thanks for watching.